Good evening, everybody. I'm Brad Silbert. Welcome to the Hamilton County Coaches Show on Hometown Television. Brought to you tonight by Greek's Pizza on South 10th Street in Noblesville. Greek's Pizza, our food sponsor, always bringing us some great pizza every Monday night for the Coaches Show. You can order your pizza at 317-773-4444 or pick it up on South 10th Street in Noblesville. Also, our other sponsor tonight, Noblesville Trophies, offering a large range of products including sports trophies, corporate awards, and in-house embroidery. Our first guest has got to be about the happiest coach in Hamilton County. Our first guest is none other than Rick Wimmer. Rick, what a great win Friday night. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm just very proud of our kids and our staff, and really came to play, and it was a great team win. Defensively, we played one of our best games. Got 3 turnovers, including a pick 6 from R.J. Potts, and Devontae Adams had a turnover early in the game that set up our first score, and then we had Bryce Reardon picked one to really kind of close the game out and set up our final field goal that really put it out of reach. So defense was fantastic. We got some offense going that we haven't had in a while. Threw for 166 yards, about 60% completions, and that's the best we've been. We're still, against a very stout defense. We need to run the ball better, but I thought we got enough out of a running game to do what we needed to do offensively. And our special teams was really outstanding as well. So it was a good team win.
Well, anybody who knows anything about Indiana high school football knows that the Cathedral Irish are one of the premier teams, not only in central Indiana, but in the state of Indiana. Mm-hmm. They moved up from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6A through the years, just because of the success factor. But last week, you were talking about the fact that you were going to make one major change in this game, and the big change you made was starting John Vore at quarterback. Let's talk a little bit about John. I thought for his first start for a sophomore, he looked so poised and like he really had it under control.
John played very well. I think the most impressive thing was he didn't make many bad decisions at all. He had I gave him 2 missed assignments when I graded film, and for a quarterback that's pretty good. During the course of the game, he ended the game 17 of 28, I think, no picks, 2 touchdowns, 1 to R.J. Potts, 1 to fullback Isaiah Dunnick. And had some big plays. We got some explosive plays out of our passing game, and really helped our running game because we were able to throw it a little bit. So I thought, for the first time out, played very well. And like you said, a lot of poise, which is tough, I think, for a sophomore, especially against an opponent like Cathedral. I thought that part of it was very impressive.
Well, I think just, the idea of playing Cathedral, I think to a lot of people and a lot of teams would just be pretty inhibiting with with their background, with their history.
I think if you think about the history of Cathedral, and if that's what you focus on, then certainly that's true. They are the winningest program in the state of Indiana, in the history of Indiana, and a lot of state championships, done very well in the tournament, and as they've moved up in classes, and they've got a very good team this year. They like us, we've got have had some kids out for a big part of the season. We did get a couple kids back this week. They're still missing a couple key kids, and I'm sure come tournament time, if they can get those kids back that they're missing, they'll be a tough out in the tournament. But on this night, but they've been without those kids for the last couple of weeks, so it isn't like all of a sudden they're missing them and now we get to play them. I mean, they played basically the same people out. They played St. X to 1-score game. I mean, almost had a chance to beat them, and played a very good team in Tennessee. Won pretty handedly the week before, against Ray County, Tennessee, who won the state championship the year before, I believe. So they've been, or 2 years before, but they've been very good, I thought our kids came ready to play, and if we can build upon that, I think we can continue to improve.
Well, you've got a couple regular season games left, and of course into the sectional. But one of the things that I was impressed with as I started looking over the numbers, especially on Vor's part, 17 for 28, no interceptions. I thought that was outstanding. As a team, no fumbles. Another outstanding thing. And another thing that seems to really be haunting a lot of teams this year is penalties. You just had 3 penalties for 13 yards.
And we've had some problems with penalties this year. There weren't many penalties on either team in this game, but penalties have been a problem for us. We haven't had much problem really all year with turning the ball over. Our running backs have done a good job of protecting it. Joel Smith did a good job of protecting the football, and I think in all the games that he played, he only threw 2 interceptions through the first 5.5 games that he played. So we've done a good job of protecting the football. Hopefully that continues. It needs to continue, and hopefully we can. This last game, like I said, we did a good job of avoiding penalties. But that's kind of new for us. We haven't done a particularly good job of that up to this point. So
I thought that was a very positive thing for you in the game. Sure. Devontae Adams, another good game.
Devontae had a great game, 7 catches on the night, and plays. He and RJ are playing more plays than anybody on our team. We're using Devontae. We've had some injuries at corner, and Devontae has come in and played some corner in the last 2 or 3 weeks and played very well. Even as we're getting our corners back, I think Devontae will continue to play some on defense because he's been very effective. He had the first pick of the night on their first pass, I believe, second or third play of the game, and returned it, picked it off close to midfield and took it down inside the 20-yard line, and the very next play, John hit R.J. Potts for a touchdown to start us off with a 7-0 lead. So Devontae, is a good physical guy, tackles well, plays very hard. He never takes play off. One of my favorite players on our team and one of our captains. He plays like a captain. He always going to get your best from him.
I kind of thought that takeaway early in the game really kind of set the tone for the game and set a very positive tone for the Tigers. Coming up Friday, you have Westfield, final regular season home game. It'll be your senior night, and Westfield has been a good ball club.
Well, they're playing outstanding. I'm really impressed with their defense. I think special teams wise, they may be the best team we've faced special teams, and we feel like we have very good special teams units, and we've probably, the games that we've won largely with special teams play, and this will be, I think Westfield. I told our kids tonight, of all the teams we've played, I think their special teams will be the best one that we've played. So we'll have to play very well there to gain an edge. Defensively, play very fast, give you a lot of looks on defense, a lot of things to prepare for. Which with his sophomore quarterback just making his second start, that could be an issue. So we've got to work it out for us there. And then offensively, a little bit different offensively from where they've been, just from the standpoint. They've always been a good running team, but they've always had great balance. And this year they're leaning a little bit more heavily to the run, but they certainly you can't ignore the pass. I mean, they're throwing it enough, and certainly throwing it efficiently and effectively enough that they can burn you with the pass. So
I've seen Freilich in several games this season, and he is quite the running back.
He's a load.
He gets hit, and he seems to add 3, 4, 5 more yards to the play.
Yeah. He is a load. He's one of the top running backs in our conference, and we've got a lot of good running backs in our conference. So it will take a very good night of execution for us to have a chance to beat Westfield. I mean, they're certainly one of the top teams in the conference, and probably not out of the conference race yet. I mean, I think they're one game back, and so they've got a lot to play for.
Coach Rick Wimmer of the Fishers Tigers, congratulations on a great victory, and good luck against Westfield. We'll be back on the Greek's Pizza Hamilton County Coaches Show after this.
I'm Perry Williams, and along with me today is Coach Gilbert, the Westfield Shamrocks. Hey, Coach.
How's it going today?
Pretty good. Big victory on Friday night.
Feel a little bit better, yeah. A little lucky, but we'll take it.
Well, absolutely, but you've had some tight games and everything, and
when Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply deliver it. Those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Coaches Show, brought to you tonight by Greek's Pizza and Noblesville Trophies. Joining us now, Noblesville head coach Jason Simmons. Jason, last week we talked about the game coming up last Friday against the Royals, and I think you summed it up pretty well and said this is going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, it certainly was. We felt like we could go in there and be competitive with them. Coach May and his staff have a really good ball club rolling right now. They've put together a good run here, and we felt like it was a good matchup for us. We felt like we could compete with them, and it sure was. It was a physical football game. It was a fun football game. We have a pretty good relationship with their coaching staff as well. And after the game, it was, both of us were like, "Woo!" But it was a fun football game, highly competitive. I thought the kids on both sides played hard. And we came up a little bit short.
Well, from not only a broadcasting perspective, but from a fan perspective, I totally agree with you. I think it was it was a good, hard-fought game, and it was also a well-played game on both sides. And as we were talking about before we came back here, halftime we're within 7 points. And the second half, there was it was almost, I'm not going to say it was like 2 different games, but it was very different in the second half. There was a lot of up and down the field action, but it seemed like neither of the teams really had everything together to break the end zone.
Well, when you think about it and you go back, it really was a defensive struggle. And I thought both defenses played really well. Both defenses were disciplined. And we were able to get the interception on Southeastern's first drive by Grant Bollard. He made a great read. He made a great read on the RPO. Was able to get underneath the seam route to get an interception. 2 possessions later, we miss a read, throw a pick six, and so both defenses had those momentum shots early. I really thought both defensive lines were physical and almost controlling, at times. Our defensive line is really starting to come together and play really well. And I thought Southeastern's defensive line, especially those edge guys, gave us trouble.
Let's talk about our favorite topic as far as your quarterback, Mr. Barnes. Wow. Wow is all I can say about that young man. I don't know this for a fact, but I would have been very surprised if there weren't a bunch of coaches either requesting tapes or in the audience or whatever looking at him. He is the real deal.
He is. The best part about Ryan is he's a super young man. He's very humble. He's really taken on a leadership role with our football team, and we asked him to do a lot offensively, and he's answered every challenge that we've thrown at him. He'll be the first one to tell you Friday wasn't his best game. We were 10 for 25 throwing the football, and I thought we missed some balls early and never really got in a rhythm. But he carried us in the run game. He had 140 yards rushing, had 2 touchdown runs that accounted for 65 of those yards, and he's a load. And we certainly ask a lot of him, and he certainly delivered in the run game Friday.
Well, how much is a quarterback? How much does that double threat mean to you as a coach and a team?
Well, you really force defenses to defend all 11 guys, and there's multiple ways to do that. You can do it in the option. You can do it with the way we do it, kind of the old single wing philosophy of trying to get more people at the point of attack than what our opponents have. And it's going to force teams just to account for everybody. We have enough little wrinkles in right now that we can run fake with him and get the ball on the perimeter. But he certainly puts us in a position for us to force opponents to defend all 11 guys.
23 carries, 130 yards in the quarterback position. That's just amazing.
It doesn't happen very often, but he's gotten to that 20 to 25 carry mark a couple of different times now, and so we certainly got to continue to monitor him and work to keep him healthy. But he is a load now.
Well, and you also have Chandler Hurst and Tyler Gonzalez and Drew Scheib back there, who all, while they didn't have a game like Ryan had, they all did contribute in their own way, and probably I know that Chandler was used in a couple of the short yardage situations successfully.
Yeah, Chandler's done a really good job for us just being versatile. We were able to get him a couple of touches out of the backfield, or at least get him one in the passing game. He's a fire plug for us because he does give us a spark. He's a good runner between the tackles. He's gotten on the perimeter a couple of times just with a good feel in our ability to block the perimeter. But he certainly brings us something in the run game. We got to get him going again this week.
Both teams with 2 interceptions. Neither team fumbled the ball on a running play, which was good. And one of the things that it just seems to be a little bit of a nemesis for a lot of teams this year. A total between the 2 teams of 17 penalties called in that game the other night.
Yeah, and I think in some respects when you look at some of those penalties, they're effort penalties. We had a couple of knucklehead penalties that we're dealing with this week, but you take those 2 out. We had 6 penalties then for I think 35 yards. And some of those were effort penalties, some of them were bonehead penalties. But I think when you get into a pressure-packed game like that, you're going to see kids, they're still 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. I think we jumped off sides twice. They jumped off sides twice. And some of that is guys trying to anticipate the snap count to go defend the run. And so, it's certainly an area that we got to work to get cleaned up for us.
Yeah,
and I know Coach May probably feels the same.
During the broadcast, Craig and I were talking, and we were kind of charting the penalties and say, okay, now we're even on offsides, we're even on this, and even on that, and it just kind of kept going back and forth. Had a number of injuries during the game, injury stoppages. How is the health of your team?
Okay, we're certainly not great. Our athletic trainer Pete Dewar and Kate Ash, they do a really good job keeping our guys upright, and they're working to do that now. We'll get a couple of guys that will probably miss the first 2 days of practice this week, and then we'll work to get them healthy as the week goes on. But I think it's that time of year. You get into week 7, week 8, week 9. I think the fortunate thing for us is we're looking at a bye week coming up. With the IHSAA and the Coaches Association putting that bye week in 6A during week 10 now. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to benefit from that, and we're certainly one of them.
Yeah, I remember the first couple of years that bye week was
And the
after the semi-state, and you had 2 weeks until the state tournament. Just quickly here, we've got less than a minute. You travel to Brownsburg this Friday.
Yeah.
Big game.
Big game for us. It's a big game in a lot of ways. One, we got to try and get some momentum going again. We were able to get 2 wins in a row. We lost a tough one on Friday to a very good HSE team. I think I can honestly say I think we'll have some Royal fans cheering us on Friday.
Oh, definitely.
We'll have an
I'm
extra
sure you
fan
will.
base with those, with Brownsburg and HSE looking to square off in Week 9 for the HCC title. But for us, we got to take care of us. We got to go there and we got to continue to play well up front defensively. Offensively, we got to be a complementary group, and if that means keeping our defense off the field, putting long drives together like we did on Friday, then we got to do that. We just got to find a way to finish them.
Well, congratulations on a good season so far, and hopefully good luck on Friday night. Coach Jason Simmons, head coach of the Noblesville Millers.
I appreciate
We'll
it.
be back on the Greeks Pizza Noblesville Trophy Hamilton County Coaches Show after these messages.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's MyChart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Coaches Show on Hometown Television, brought to you tonight by Greeks Pizza. We're joined by Golden Eagles coach Tom Dilly. Tom, did you have some of that Greeks Pizza?
Still working on some
Still
of
working.
it. Very good.
Is it worth coming for?
Very good.
Well, we're glad to hear
Reason I'm
that.
here.
Greeks Pizza on South 10th Street, Noblesville. You can pick it up there, dine in there, or call them, 317-773-4444. Our sponsor on the Coaches Show tonight is Noblesville Trophies, offering a large range of products, including sports trophies, corporate awards, and in-house embroidery. Coach, it sounded like you guys had a pretty exciting game against Brebeuf.
It's one word for it. No, there certainly were exciting moments. It was a good, hard-fought high school football game. It's either both teams played really well or both teams didn't play all that well, but there were some great plays at times, and there were some mistakes on both sides at times, and real competitive spirit and some good sportsmanship, and it was an all-around good night. It obviously came down to the wire and came down to a huge kick by our I think all-state caliber kicker, Caleb Quick.
13-10. That just tells me that it was a defensive battle in the trenches for you, wasn't it?
It was one of those games that I don't know how you want to characterize it, where both offenses had trouble getting on track, and I think that's the credit just to both defenses to some degree, and also, like I said, some execution mistakes. But that's the way it played out, and we got a little bit conservative maybe at times too. We got up a couple scores to 10-0, and sometimes that can get you in trouble too. But all types of credit to Brebeuf for getting their way back into that game and making plays when they needed to.
McGinnis had another good night.
Yep, Carter kind of just kept rolling and does what he does, and he wasn't. There was a lot more resistance than some other times, but ground out some tough yards, and of course, we feel like he was there are 3 or 4 times he was one shoestring tackle away from maybe, adding to his total, but he's a good back.
I had him for 29 carries for 150 yards, which in the games I've seen him so far in during his career, that just seems like maybe an average night for him.
Yeah, yes, I would agree. A lot of tough grind him out yards in there, and a lot of him making something out of nothing. And there are times that our offensive line did a very good job as well. So it's all a group effort.
You've got a lead at halftime. You have a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden it seems like Brebeuf is trying to get back into this game.
Yeah, and they did a nice job. We made a mistake and turned the ball over one time, and they got a nice return on it down to maybe around their 25 or so, and we were able to get some points there. But to our defense's credit, they stopped them to a field goal at least, and that was huge, obviously, because later on their last drive, they were able to find their way into the end zone. Again, we made a couple mistakes and had a costly penalty, but again, the credit belongs to Brebeuf there. Our kids were fighting hard, and they made some plays, and before you know it, we're all locked up.
11 seconds to go in the game. What was your thought on a 54-yard field goal attempt?
Wasn't going to kick it. I was more concerned about about it getting blocked and how dire the consequences could be if the ball's blocked in that situation and you're almost at midfield, and giving them an opportunity maybe to take a heave into the end zone. But we have confidence that Caleb can do that. At the same time, there are a lot of moving parts. It was a little bit of a slippery, wet night.
What changed your mind in because it sounded like from the way you responded at first, you were probably, it sounded like you were pretty adamant that
no,
I don't, that it almost sounded like you were saying, well, let's run this thing to overtime and we'll see what we can do.
We're going to try to get a first down and see if we can get out of bounds, get a little bit closer, maybe have one play to do that. We spent a timeout to talk about it, and 2/3 of the timeout I was working on what that play would be, and I think one of our assistant coaches, I think our defensive coordinator may have said something, Matt Lane, but and just said, "You sure you don't want to kick it?" And I kind of looked at it again, and Caleb's kind of looking at me, and we have all the confidence in the world. He's good from there, but it's not always just about the kick. There's a lot of other things, and our other guys in the operation, Jake Labus is the holder, and he handled a nice ball, and Colin Brown is the snapper. He did a great job too. It may have even worked out into our favor because most of the time out they didn't know they were going to be going out there on the field to execute, so they wouldn't have a whole lot of time to think about it. But at the last second, we decided to go for a field goal. They jumped out there and just did it.
Well, in football, I don't think a lot of people really think quite as in depth as what you were saying about the other variables that go into the idea of a field goal. Even if it's a 20-yard field goal, number one, you got to have a snap. Number two, you got to have the holder. He's got to get the ball. He's got to get it down, and it's such timing.
Sure, and they had a quick kid that was coming off our left edge all night on extra points that had some length to him, and it was a quick kid, and was fairly close on some extra points too. So as you say, a lot of people don't think about that. I guarantee the coaches do. That's all they it's no fun. They think about all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But we were considering all that, but at the same time you got to go for it sometimes and take some chances.
Other stars of the game for you?
I thought Logan Weaver played well on defense. One of our inside linebackers, a junior kid. Ed Pointer, a defensive end, senior co-captain, played well up front. Graham Keller, our big left tackle, another senior, kind of had the best game we thought in the trenches offensively. Corbin Lane had 3 catches, and they were all huge, and he fought for some extra yards. In fact, the play just before the field goal, he fought for 1 or 2 extra yards, and without those 1 or 2 extra yards, the whole thing is a little bit different. So those kids did a nice job.
Friday night, it doesn't get any easier. You're going to Chittard, even though the record isn't quite even with what you got, with Chittard being at 3-4, you guys being at 6-1. What's the challenge for that game going to be?
Well, they're 11-time state champ, and they know how to win, and they've got good personnel within the team in all three phases, and they have good personnel on the coaching staff, and they know what they're doing. And, they're a very, very physical team, a very, very prideful community and team, and we've had a couple of good games with them the last few times, and felt fortunate to compete the way we did. And that's all we're going to do. We're going to show up, and we're going to play our hardest, and it's going to be a competitive ball game, and kids will make plays, and a few kids will make mistakes, and it'll all shake out. But they're obviously I think a lot of people think of the difficulties they present in the offensive and defensive lines, but they have skilled players that are really, really good too all the time, and this year's no different.
How about the health of the team? Any key injuries, or you got anybody who?
Relatively good. We're no different necessarily than when we went into the Brebeuf game, so we got some kids back for that game, and I think everybody's in pretty decent shape right now.
Thank you very much, Coach. Congratulations on a big win against Brebeuf, and good luck this weekend against Chittard. That's Guerin Catholic Golden Eagles head coach Tom Dilley. We'll be back in the Greek Pizza Noblesville Trophy Hamilton County Coaches Show after this.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
You're watching the Hamilton County Sports Coaches Show. Every Monday night, bring you head coaches from our Hamilton County high schools. Show is brought to you tonight by Noblesville Trophies. They provide you with same-day service for last-minute decisions. Noblesville Trophies. Contact them at 317-773-7391 or check them out online, www.noblesvilletrophies.com. We're also being brought to you tonight by Greek's Pizza on South 10th Street in Noblesville. You can pick it up there on South 10th Street or give them a call and they'll deliver it to you, 317-773-4444. Joining us now, Hamilton Heights Huskies head coach Mitch Street. Mitch, I got to ask you, was the pizza up to par today?
No, it's very good. I love it. It's good stuff.
Glad to hear that. Well, the Huskies had Friday night off, so what did you do with your Friday night off first?
Well, we practiced and then after school there and had a normal kind of pregame Thursday practice on Friday, and then my wife had actually been out of town on business, and so the family just hung out, and I just relaxed a little while and got ready for Saturday.
A little different routine.
Oh, yeah,
Friday
different
night,
for
right?
sure.
Saturday, you guys had the pleasure to play down at Lucas Oil Stadium against Twin Lakes. Quite a game there Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for our kids. It's one of those games where we had chances, opportunities to really stretch out a lead and or kind of put more points on the board, and kind of a MO of our season so far. We didn't do that. Which gave us had to really work to get a win, and that's not taking anything away from them. I think they played a really good football game and have made some improvements and made some changes to what they were doing and kept the game and just kept themselves in reach of and really controlled the game in some aspects for a lot of it.
How did the kids react to Lucas Oil Stadium?
Yeah, pretty good. It's a different environment when you play there on a Saturday, especially the way they had it built, where you didn't have back-to-back varsity games or youth games in between. You didn't have, fans from both teams coming in for each of the games, just because of the way they staggered it. Mm-hmm. So even if there's a couple thousand people there, that's quiet. So that's the biggest thing. I think I mentioned that last week. I think is just handling that aspect of just kind of differences and kind of the vacuum that it is when that place is empty. It's a little different, but I thought we did. We handled it pretty well. I don't know that it really changed the way we played or anything like that. Our kids enjoyed it, had a good time, and it's a fun opportunity for them.
Well, having been up in the booth and on the floor there at Lucas Oil Stadium and the old RCA Dome, it is a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
And one would think it could be a little bit on the intimidating side. Scoring-wise, for you on Saturday.
Yeah, Jesse Brown had our two scores. He had a running touchdown and also had a reception that he scored on that was put us down by 1, and then in overtime, and then the 2-point play rather. Sterling Weatherford had a 2-point conversion to put us up there at the end of the game. But had a lot of balance in our yardage in terms of guys that contributed. We had 5 or 6 guys that had 50 yards or plus per or on the day in terms of total yardage, and so really balanced in what we were doing, which is one of our things we wanted to do coming in, and I thought those guys did a really nice job.
Did you expect a low-scoring game?
Well, for us, we haven't scored a lot of points this whole season. We've had a lot of opportunities. We've had yardage and opportunities to score, and kind of shot ourselves in the foot offensively, and the same is really true, on Saturday. One of the things that we made a quarterback change going into the game, and as did they, and so both teams really, I think, were kind of feeling out things a little bit offensively, and so we were huddling and kind of using the whole play clock there, and so we had 1 possession each offensively in the first quarter. So just not a lot of plays. I think we ran about 16 plays in the first half. So just not a lot of opportunities to score, and partially that's because we were a little cautious going into it offensively. Wanted to make sure we kind of settled in. But then too, we had opportunity to put a nice long drive together to open up the game, or at least open up our offensive possession and move the ball, and then just didn't come up with any points. And so I was hoping we'd be able to kind of stretch out a lead a little bit and get some points on them. And we had opportunities to do that several different times and just weren't able to do so. But I thought our defense played really well, especially given the offense, and we gave them some short fields at times just due to our kicking game and those types of things. And I thought they did a really nice job of especially early holding into field goals and letting our offense kind of settle in and be able to get to speed there towards the end of the game.
One of the things you just mentioned was the play clock. Yep. This is, of course, the first year with a 40-second play clock at the high school level. How has that changed the strategy? Well, I don't know that it's done a lot of that. I think one of the things it has done is it's kind of leveled the play. I think it's done what was intended to do, and that's really take the officials and their tendencies and the way in which they spot the ball or don't spot the ball, whatever the case might be. It kind of takes that out of the game and allows for a little more consistency in that area. Whether you're a team that wants to play fast or the team that wants to play slow, it really levels the playing field in that regard. At times it does speed you up a little bit because you do have some crews that you've had that are going to be slow or just throughout the game. They give you more time, whatever the case might be, and that doesn't happen with the 40-second clock. So that'd be one change, especially if you're used to that or you have crews that you know are like that changes it. But for the most part, for us, it really hasn't changed us a bunch. But it does keep you on your toes a little bit, and you want to make sure you get the call in time and making sure that you're being efficient with your time. I think your comment about the style of officiating, I think that does. I think that's extremely valid. Yeah. And I've seen crews that it seemed like before they start the 25-second clock, 10, 15 seconds would go off the clock. Absolutely. I think this kind of evens things up and maybe makes it a little easier. Basically, a little easier on both sides of the ball. Starts of the game for you this week.
Well, I think Jesse Brown played really well offensively. I thought he had one of his better games defensively too, and doesn't necessarily show up in the stats. But I thought, in terms of him being more of a physical player that we asked him to be, I thought he did a good job of that. Nick Burke played really well on the defensive line. He's a kid that I think he had 13 tackles and really did a nice job of kind of falling into our scheme and really carrying out. He had a lot of tackles, but it wasn't him, playing outside the scheme. He was doing our stuff and was doing it really well. I think Riley White, who stepped in and played quarterback for us this week, I thought he did a really nice job of managing the game, and taking care of the football and getting opportunities for our guys to make plays out in space, And so I think, just name a few. I think there's several guys there. Sterling Weatherford got a lot of touches early, and then from there we were able to use him as a blocker a lot throughout and kind of play off of his actions that we had some success with early on. And Clayton Cowan's a kid that always runs the ball really hard and plays physical football. And so, and just name a few, Jason Beck, I thought played really well on the edge too. And so with them, they get you with that wing tee stuff. They get you to do things that you're not comfortable. Some positions aren't comfortable doing, and those guys played really well and stepped up.
Coming up Friday, you're going to be at Western. Western, of course, a 4A team, but a record of 2-5, and is that a little bit deceiving, maybe?
Well, I think they got some nice players. I think they're dealing with some injuries. The quarterback was injured early in the season, and he's still playing for them, but he's playing in a cast, and so he's more of a runner than he is a passer. And he's a good athlete. They've got some big kids. I think they can do some things. And they're a little unconventional in what they do offensively, and they can pressure you defensively and make you feel a little, like I said, uncomfortable as well. And so, definitely a team for us. We've not really blown anybody out. And even though we've had chances to a couple different occasions to really stretch out the score and pull away from people, we haven't done it. And so. I don't think any game's easy for us right now. We got to continue to get better and continue to build heading into the playoffs and get ourselves ready to go.
Well, congratulations on a great victory against Twin Lakes, and good luck against Western this weekend. That's Hamilton Heights Huskies head coach Mitch Street. I'm Brad Silbert on the Hamilton County Coaches Show, brought to you by Greek's Pizza and Noblesville Trophies. We'll be back after this.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's My Chart, I keep track of everything.
When community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
You're up. Welcome back to the Hamilton County Coaches Show on Hometown Sports, brought to you tonight by Noblesville Trophy, who offers a large range of products, including sports trophies, corporate awards, and in-house embroidery. Also by Greek's Pizza here on South 10th Street in Noblesville. You can pick it up on South 10th Street at the restaurant there, or call it in at 317-773-4444. And I've been asking all the coaches the first question: how was the pizza tonight, Coach?
The pizza's wonderful as always. It's one of the highlights of my week.
Good for you.
Greek's is amazing. Good stuff.
Well, I think the other highlight of your last week probably came Friday night up here in Noblesville.
Yeah, it was another great game, another really tough Hoosier Crossroads Conference opponent in Noblesville, and they came out and jumped on us pretty quickly. We turned the ball over early. Defensively, we got put in kind of a hole there. They took the ball around the 25, 30-yard line. Thought we had them stopped, got a sack on 3rd down, but a face mask penalty kept that drive alive, and on the next play they took it in for a 7-0 lead. And that's not the kind of start we'd hoped for, but we rebounded nicely, and after trading a few possessions, getting a big 4th down stop, Noblesville actually got the ball back and was driving in our territory, got to around the 40-yard line. Alec Jessup on a 4th and 1 play actually stopped the running back short of the 1st down. We took the ball back. We were able to go back down and score to tie the game up at 7-7. And then on the very next play from scrimmage, Austin Holzum had a big 32-yard interception return for a touchdown to put us up 14-7. So had a little trouble offensively out of the gates, getting things rolling. A little banged up. Trey Poores in there for Jackson Sweeney at running back, who did not play on Friday night, and Trey pulled double duty. He played corner for us and then also ran the ball 15 times and did a great job. But we broke through there with that pick 6 and took the lead, and it was a good effort all the way around.
How do you defend a quarterback like Ryan Barnes, who not only can throw but is such a threat to run all that? In fact, he gained 130 yards in the evening.
Yeah, he's quite a player, and we knew coming in that he was the guy that they want the ball in his hands, and so I think we had to be very, very attentive to where he was, and they do a great job of getting him in space, and they do a really good job of having things on the backside for him to take the ball and pull it back and come out the backside, or lead up with a pulling guard in front of him, and I think the best way for us to defend it is just to make sure that on that backside we're slow and staying off his inside or his back hip. And I think a couple times we pursued over the top too fast and gave him that cutback lane, and he got into a pile and bounced out for their second touchdown that knotted it up at 14-14 and got a big 41-yard run on us. So just being sound and trying to be physical, and he is a load. I mean, when you make contact, you got to speed your feet, and you got to have gang tackling, a lot of hats to the ball. And we did a pretty good job of that and had a couple of breakdowns early in the game, but we cleaned some things up. Right before half, they were putting a really good drive together and had gotten it down inside the 15-yard line with under a minute to go, and they were out of timeouts, and we were fortunate to get a sack by Johnny May on 1st down, and that was huge. That kind of thwarted that drive, and then they missed a field goal going into the half, and we retained that 21-14 lead, and so that was huge for us. But yeah, their quarterback's quite a player.
You just said it, 21-14 at halftime. Come back for the second half, and 7 points is all that's put on the board. Fortunately for HSE, they were royal points. What adjustments did you make at halftime?
Just what we talked about with the quarterback running, to slow down a little bit on that backside, to not over pursue, to not get over the top of his face, to be on that back hip, to see that near ear hole, and then if he is going to cut that thing back, we've got a guy there to make a play. So we were pretty gap aware at halftime, changed up some things with our fronts and some of our movements, and I think that helped. But boy, they came out in the third quarter and they made some great adjustments too, and they had the ball for what felt like a couple of years. I mean, I believe it was 9 minutes and it was 17 plays, and they converted a bunch of 3rd downs and a couple 4th down conversions, and they got it inside of our 5-yard line, and it was, I believe, 4th and 2 from about the 3-yard line, or maybe 4th and goal from the 2. And Zach Randall filled on a really nice play off tackle from our linebacker position and stopped him. We got the ball back, and that was a huge bullet dodged right there. Keep that 21-14 lead. It just a fantastic stop.
There were a number of stoppages during the game for injuries. How is the physical condition of the Royals coming out of this game?
Oh, I mean, week 8 about as good as you can hope to be. Jackson's still on the mend, and we're hoping to get Will Hedrick back from injury. He's been out the entire year with the back issue. And we've got the basic nicks and dings. Carter Lohman's still dealing with his ankle that's been bothering him since week 2. And we're just trying to back off a little bit. It is week 8, so we're not out there hammering on the kids every night. We're trying to do a lot more with bags and not as much full contact, but still you gotta prepare yourself for the grind on Friday night as well. So we're about as good as you can hope to be at this stage in the game.
One of the things that I thought was a very positive in this game, and it worked out positive for both teams, no fumbles.
Yeah, and that's huge. And taking care of the football is going to be key, especially as we start moving into the playoffs and turnovers and penalties, things.
Yeah,
that
the
we've struggled
negative
with.
I saw, though, was the penalties.
Right.
17 penalties between both of the teams. It was 9 for Hamilton Southeastern, 8 for Noblesville.
Yeah.
And it almost got to a point there, and when Coach Simmons was in here, I was telling him that Craig and I, during the broadcast on Friday night, were saying, okay, now HSE has had their offsides. Oops, Noblesville has got their offside. It seemed like the penalties definitely played a big factor in that game.
Yeah, and that's something, at this stage in the game, you're hoping that you're cleaning some of those things up, and you got to be disciplined, and you got to not jump off sides when it's 3rd and short. And we did that, and you got to keep your hands off the face mask. That's an effort play. The kid trying to make a play, and sometimes those things happen. It's not anything intentional, but that's something we've got to work to clean up, especially moving forward. We've got a team coming out of Chicago this week that's going to be a tough challenge for us, and then we've got the conference championship game against Brownsburg following. And then you go into that meat grinder of sectional 4. So penalties and turnovers are going to kill you. We got to clean those things up.
Well, let's talk about Friday night. Waubonsie Valley, which is a school in western suburban Chicago. For those of you familiar with the Chicago area, it's in the Aurora area, which is due west of downtown. They're going to come in for a 7:30 kickoff on Friday night. This has got to be tough on you guys to have a team come in that's basically totally unknown to you.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, it's crazy. We get in huddle, and Coach Jacobs, I'm looking through, getting ready to start watching film on these guys, and it says Waubonsie Valley versus an orange team, Waubonsie Valley against a blue. I mean, we don't even know the schools they're playing. So it's different because it's not like the Hoosier Crossroads Conference and preparing for all these Hamilton County opponents where you know them, and it's. They're very good at what they do, and they hang their hat on things, and it doesn't change a lot from year to year. With these guys, we don't really know a whole lot about them or what to expect, and it's kind of fun and exciting in a way because it is somebody new and fresh and different, and I think it's going to be a big challenge for our kids. This is a program that's had some success. They've got a pretty rich history. They're coming off of a loss, so I would imagine that they're pretty excited to get on the bus and head to Indianapolis and show Indianapolis what Chicago area football is all about. And meanwhile, we're kind of partial to Indianapolis area football, and we think our football around here is pretty darn good too. So we'll see what happens on Friday night, but it'll be a fun one.
But I'll bet you're kind of glad that you're not going to have to take that 4 to 4.5 hour bus ride the other direction.
I'm very fortunate about that. We actually have a half day at HSC on Friday, so our kids are probably looking forward to a nice nap that afternoon while the teachers are in meetings, and we call it the great equalizer because they're going to be on a bus for 5 hours while our kids are sleeping. So
they'll all be sleeping. They should all be very well rested.
Hopefully we're not too sluggish on Friday.
Coach Matt Alfeld of the Hamilton Southeastern Royals, congratulations on a great victory last Friday, and good luck against Waubonsie Valley. That's, I believe, how that's pronounced. The Hamilton County Coaches Show is brought to you by Greek's Pizza and Noblesville Trophies. And don't forget that game coming up on Friday night will be our hometown television game of the week. Waubonsie Valley at Hamilton Southeastern. Special time on that game because of the travel. That game will begin at 7:30. We'll be back with Bud Wright after this.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage. Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Have our own story about community.
I truly felt that each doctor, technician, and nurse had the same goal: provide exceptional care and make it simple.
Because of my chronic illness, I have an entire team on my side.
With Community's MyChart, I keep track of everything.
When Community says exceptional care, simply delivered, those aren't just 4 words at the end of a TV spot.
It's for community patients at the end of a TV spot.
Telling you to believe every word.
Good Monday evening. If it's Monday night, it must be Hamilton County Television. It must be the Hamilton County Coaches Show. And if it's going to be the Hamilton County Coaches Show, who else would be a part of it but Bud Wright from Sheridan. Coach, you had a great game against Tipton, a 14-10 victory.
It was a hard football game, and like I say, it was a great football game. I know that it was a good game to watch, I know. And a lot of excitement, and went right down to the wire, right down to the end.
Let's talk about the game. Talk about some of the highlights from the game.
Well, the highlight, I think, as far as the game is concerned, was defensively. We played one heck of a football game. Our defensive line, I think, dominated, controlled the line of scrimmage. And on offense, our offensive line did a great job also controlling the line of scrimmage. We drive down and score like the second time we had the football, and went up 7-0, and they came back and answered and tied at 7-7. And then they kicked a field goal in the third quarter and went up 10-7, and then we scored late in the third quarter, went up, and then we had to fight the whole fourth quarter. The big thing was I about blew it, I think. I don't know whether I made the right call or not, but it worked out okay. We had fourth and a little bit less than a yard to go on the 50-yard line with about 3 minutes to go to game, 2:57. And we decided we didn't want to put the ball back in their hands because they got those 2 really good receivers. And so we went for it, and they jammed it. And they went right down. First play, then they came back, hit a 44-yard pass, had first down on our 6. And they tried 2 runs, and they gained a yard. And they came back and tried to pass, and we had a defensive end who jumped up and got a hold of the football and intercepted it. And that was a ball game. So, and it was a close fought right down to the very end.
Stars of the game for you.
Oh, our defensive front was by far. They had 1 yard rushing on the night. They had 189 through the air. But even with 189 through the air, we done a great job on the pass coverage as such there. But our defensive front, I mean, they controlled it. They dominated as far as the line of scrimmage. They had the ball 3 or 4 times down about the 40-yard line or in going in, and we were able to stop them from going in and such there. So I think that our front, and it's a rotation. We have about 7 kids we rotate on that defensive front, because they also play an offense, so they'll get a break sometime, and they did a great job for us.
Victory number 399 for you, Bud, comes also on senior night. Talk about the significance of number 1 of this group of seniors, and just how important that senior night victory is on their last regularly scheduled home game.
Well, it was a big win as far as our kids were concerned. They had a doubt whether they could beat Tipton or not, and we talked all week long and watched film and such there. And when toward the end of the week, you could see the confidence growing in them, and you could just see it in their eyes. But before the ball game, a couple of assistants come up and told me, he said, "We're going to win this ball game." You can see it in the kids' eyes. And that's the way they played. They played to win, and like I say, that was a big thing. Senior night, it was a big deal for the seniors. They were, they were freshmen, I guess, when we beat Tipton last time, and but they weren't part of it, and so they were really high that they did win the ball game.
Talk about a couple of the outstanding seniors you had this year.
Oh, Avery Bundy. Offensive guard, defensive nose or tackle for us on defense. He's been a tremendous player as far as on defense is concerned and offense. Alex Gibson, the other senior that up on the defensive tackle, I mean, they've controlled the line of scrimmage on every game we've played. And those two have been really leaders on defense. And like I say, Avery is really a big-time leader on offense also. And I think those two seniors really have come on and really done a great job for us.
Good. Coming up Friday night, travel to Taylor. How are we looking for that one?
Well, that's one of the things we talked about tonight. Taylor's 0-7. And, you know, the 0-7 football team, you just can't let them slip up on you. You know, anybody could win a game anytime, you know that, going into the game. You can't overlook them, and that's what we preached a lot about tonight. Not overlooking, we've got to go into the attitude that we had last week, that we're going out and win the football game, and try to, you know, put them away early, and see what happens there. We don't want them to stick around because they're just not a very experienced football team, and you know they have played a couple of good ball games. So, like I say, that was what big thing we talked about was we got to go out with the attitude that they're just as good as we are, and just start from the kickoff and play.
You guys had 214 yards in this game against Tipton. Same style of play coming up against Taylor?
Same style probably. We might change up a little bit. They do a little bit different things. We might open it up a little bit. Taylor really got beat bad last week on the pass, so we might try to throw the ball a little bit more. Last 2 or 3 games we had thrown the balls, but we were average about 14, 15, 16 passes a game, and the last 3 games we were averaging about 9 passes a ball game, 8.5 or so. So we might, you know, put the ball in the air a little bit more against them and go from there, but you know, we're going to get the ball to Callahan. He's one of the leading rushers in the state, and he's hard to stop. So he's going to get his share of the touches.
Yeah, I see he had 37 carries for 161 yards
right
in the game against Tipton.
Right.
I would assume that you guys consider the Tipton game to be a pretty big rivalry.
Yeah, it
you know,
has
not real close, but you know, next door in the next county over. And
it is. It has been down through the years. You know, Tipton coming in, and the kids know each other close. I mean, part of our school district borders with Tipton, and we got kids that live across the road from some of the Tipton kids and such there. So you know, it is a rivalry in that respect, and you know, I don't think it's quite as big as the Tipton Heights rivalry, but it's close. I say the Sheridan and Tipton rivalry is close.
Well, that's good to hear. And of course, for you, you're sitting at 399, and are you looking at this game any differently, or
no? We're not.
I say, knowing you, you're just going to say, "Hey, this is just another game. Let's go out and try to win the game."
Yeah, yeah. That's you know, tonight. Some of the kids came up to me after we got done practicing right before we left to come over here, and they said, "Coach, if we win, can we dump water on you or
give you the old Gatorade
stuff?" And I said, "Well, that hadn't been done for a while." I said, "I'll think about it." They said, "Oh, we got to. It'll be your 400th." I said, "Well, if you guys deliver this 400th, I'll take some extra clothes and I'll let you do it this time."
Just make it warm water on Friday night.
I'll tell the guys that.
Well, I hope next Monday when you come in, Bud, we're celebrating at number 400. That's Bud Wright, the head coach of the Sheridan Blackhawks. Congratulations on a big victory against Tipton, and good luck against Taylor coming up this weekend. You're watching the Hamilton County Coaches Show, brought to you by Greek's Pizza and Noblesville Trophies. And we'll be back after these messages.
Now we're going to Westfield, Coach.
Then we'll be going directly to Perry Williams and his interview with Westfield coach Jake Gilbert.
Well, I'm Perry Williams, and along with me today is Coach Gilbert, the Westfield Shamrocks. Hey, Coach.
How's it going today?
Pretty good. Big victory on Friday night.
Feel a little bit better, yeah. A little lucky, but we'll take it.
Well, absolutely. But you've had some tight games and everything, and there's a couple games you thought that you probably should have won and you lost. So
Sure.
this one you got a victory, which is huge for you and keeps you in that hunt for second place in the conference. And we know who you're going to play at sectional time this year. So let's talk a little bit about this Avon game, and then we'll talk about the rest of the season. But it was a pretty close game all the way through. I mean, first quarter you scored 7, and then the second and third quarter you both scored 7. So, and then you got 6 in the final quarter to win 21-20. So.
Yep, it was a very, very close game and an exciting game. Good, well-played football game. So it just felt good to come out a point on top this week.
Well, let's talk about the offense and how they performed. And I believe there was when there were a few interceptions in the game or some turnovers and stuff, which was huge. Is that correct?
Yeah, we recovered an onside kick, which was big, and then we forced a fumble and got 2 interceptions. So we needed every one of them so for us to still only win by 1. So we were +3 for the game, which was big. And like I said, we needed all that to come out on top.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about that defense, because obviously that defense did a great job for you. And
Yep.
Let's talk about some of those players and that played well on Friday night.
Well, we stopped a very good team. They have an outstanding player who's going to IU, and they played him at running back the entire night. So he got to play offense more than he has the entire season, and he was dynamic and hard to stop. And our guys actually bottled him up pretty well because he is a flat-out stud. So Bryant Fitzgerald, you'll hear his name at IU soon. But he hurt us a little bit, but not terribly. We did give up a couple big plays against the pass, unfortunately, and we'll work on getting better at that. But overall, yeah, we forced a few turnovers on defense, and we stopped them when we had to stop them. And I think we're giving up 14 points per game on the year defensively, which is pretty good in today's era. Elijah Lennon, defensive tackle, he played his best game of the season, I felt. Byron Hubbard was still solid. Griffin Lickfeldt, our D-line, continues to be solid, and I was pretty happy with them. At linebacker, Hank Grinda did very well as usual. And then in the secondary, we were extremely happy with Caleb Sanborn. He got the first interception, kind of get us rolling, and that was a big deal. We needed it bad, and he kind of set the tone for us and graded out real high, and then was homecoming king later on. So
wow, he
big night for him, yeah.
Yeah, let's touch on that a little bit. It was a big night because it was homecoming also here. And what does that affect you at all, or you're just kind of used to it and you just know how to handle it? Homecoming, because it's a little bit different. The kids come
Sure.
over. You have a parade on Thursday night, and which I think is a good idea, and then of course you get in your routine on Friday. But it is homecoming, so is that any effect on the game itself out of the ordinary? Because I know you try to keep to the same routine game after game, and that's important.
Yeah, well, I mean, it can affect. We try to obviously not allow it to. Homecoming is a positive thing with all the people there, but it's typically not a coach's favorite week because of all the distractions. But our guys do a pretty good job of keeping the main thing, and understanding the real reason that all this is going on is for the football game. And so we have the honor to be able to actually play in the game, and so we need to make sure that we're focused on that. And our guys do a pretty good job with that.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about, I know that you celebrated a victory, but I'm sure that either late Friday night or early Saturday morning you began working on this big game coming up with Fishers, which kind of amazing. They beat Cathedral. So
we can't catch a break. Everybody gets healthy at the right time, right before they play us. Well, yeah, I mean, we get started pretty much right away. You don't get a whole lot of time to enjoy the victories. You just have to move on. But that's okay. It's we love it. So, but yeah, Fisher's excellent football team. Tons of respect for their program and their staff. So we better get to work. They looked fantastic against Cathedral in my mind.
Yeah, and Coach Wimmer made a few offensive changes there, so you don't have a lot of film or anything on the changes that he made, so that makes it a little bit tougher. But you do have the Cathedral game, and you're right, they played a fantastic game, and you know, with as many victories, I think he's around 250, 260 victories in his career, that he knows how to coach. So this is going to be a tough challenge for you on Friday night.
It always is. You know, Fisher's is the only team that we haven't beaten since we were hired here. We've beaten everybody else at least twice, and Fisher's has kind of eluded us. So very well coached, excellent football team. It'll be a big-time challenge. We know what we're in store for, I think.
Absolutely, and you know, it's going to be a big game. It'll be down there at Fisher's. You know, I guess in the game of football, you really don't have to prepare anything different as far as whether you're home or you're away. I mean, obviously you like to have a big crowd down there and a crowd behind you, but you have a pretty good following. So, and then turf, so you know.
Yeah, it's not bad to play on the road. You're just kind of locked in and focused a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that much to me one way or the other.
Yeah, and then to close out the season, you got Brebeuf coming up, and you know, they haven't had the best season of the year, but that's always a dangerous team to play, Brebeuf. So.
Yeah, they play a big-time schedule, so they're probably a little bit better than what people think.
Now, how do you handle, well, you know, we're actually maybe a week or 2 weeks early as far as the drawing. I mean, this year was, you know, you still got 2 football games to play.
Yep.
But you know you're going to play Lafayette Jeff.
Yep.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do you talk to the team about, you know, coming up the playoffs? Because I know that's the ultimate goal, is to be at Lucas Oil. I mean, you know, you want all these other things, but what about that, Coach? Does that give you an advantage or disadvantage as far as being able to, you know, kind of slip in and take a look at some of the film early on, or do you do that?
We don't have any film on Jeff, so there's nothing to watch yet.
Okay.
In terms of, you know, we just need to make sure we keep the focus on our current, you know, team this current week and our current opponent, and like playing Fisher's, that's a little easier to do because we know they're excellent. So I don't think we'll get caught looking ahead or anything like that this week. I do think it can bite a team, but with 5A having the bye and 6A now having that bye on the first week, I think that helps you to focus on where you're at, and the kids know, okay, well, we'll have a whole bye week in there before we even have the week where we have to play so-and-so. So I think that helps keep the distractions away a little bit.
Yeah, because, you know, the one thing in Hamilton County is in the Hoosier Crossroad Conference, you know, there's really no secrets because we're all here together in very close proximity. So, you know, as far as being able to scout each team and know what's coming up, you pretty well know what Rick Wimmer's going to do, and he probably knows what you're going to do. So, you know, it just comes down to that, and that's always kind of interesting.
Yeah, we just have to execute at that point.
Absolutely. Now with Brebeuf, it's a little bit different because you don't know as much about them, and then of course Lafayette is there again a little bit different.
Yeah, sometimes when you get into the playoffs and, you know, you're not as familiar with your opponents, it's less about scheme and just who can execute their base stuff better. Maybe you carry less plays with you even, you know, because you don't have to outfox anybody per se. They haven't seen you as much, and it's more about base fundamentals and who can block and tackle the best a lot of times the farther you go.
So basically the way you play the Hoosier Crossroad Conference with all the schemes and everything, you have to do those type of things in the conference where it may, you know, just be basically execution football.
Yeah, you always have a few wrinkles
sure.
against our conference teams because we've seen each other so much.
Yeah.
And, it's good to have something fresh in there for them.
Yeah.
But playoffs a little bit different animal.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's right around the corner. Football season wins pretty quick. I don't know whether it's for you, it's maybe not but it's a day in, day out working on the games and all that stuff 7 days a week just about. So it's quite a challenge.
Yeah, and it kind of ends abruptly when it ends.
Yeah.
So you go from like all the time, every day, to now what? It's over, so we're far from ready for it to end.
Yeah, I know
Hope
what
we
you
keep
mean.
doing these interviews for a long time.
I hope so too, Coach. Well, this is Perry Williams along with Coach Jake Gilbert, and I appreciate you, and we'll see you next week, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, see you later.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County Coaches Show on Hometown Television. Brought to you each and every Monday night during the high school football season by Greek's Pizza on South 10th Street in Noblesville. You can pick it up at South 10th Street or call ahead and order 317-773-4444. And Bud, I know the one reason and one reason alone you come here every Monday night is for Greek's Pizza, right?
That's right.
Okay. Our show is also brought to you by Noblesville Trophies. They're offering a large range of products, including sports trophies, corporate awards, and embroidery. A lot of things coming up on Hamilton County Television this coming week. Coming up Thursday, we will have the girls sectional of soccer. First game will be about 5 o'clock. That will be Noblesville against Fishers. Second game will be Hamilton Southeastern, and whoever wins on Monday night. Coming up Friday night, it's Wabansie of Illinois, of suburban Chicago, at Hamilton Southeastern. Coming up on Saturday, the cross-country sectional, and that all begins about 10:30 on Saturday morning. And then, of course, 1 week from tonight, I hope we are all back here celebrating at number 400 with this gentleman to my left. It's been a great pleasure to have you here, Bud, and we appreciate you being here. Well, that'll do it for us for the Hamilton County Coaches Show for this week. I'm Brad Silbert. We'll see you next week. Good night.